Hey everyone, Brian Robb and Souichi Terada from MassLive.com here, and we are gearing up for a rare blockbuster regular season slash NBA Cup matchup coming on Tuesday night. The undefeated Cleveland Cavaliers at 15-0 coming to TD Garden. I think believe it's the fourth longest winning streak to begin a regular season in NBA history, Souichi. And so we are honestly, for a Celtics team that's coming off title, this is as big as the game as it comes, as far as just hype and just a good test out of the gate here, Souichi.
Especially in mid-November. I gotta say, I know there are a lot of NBA Cup detractors, but like this is exactly what the league wants. You got a
Oh yeah,
15-0 Cleveland Cavaliers team on this fancy court in Boston, East semis rematch against the defending champion. Like this is great. Like I feel like yeah, like in terms of the regular season, are you going to unless it's something crazy or like Lakers Celtics is the exact same thing, right? Like Lakers are 15-0. Like I guess you could have like team rivalry stuff, but like in terms of like pure basketball, like I don't think it gets much better than this.
it is. It's gonna be fun. So we are getting you ready. We got three things to watch for in this matchup on Tuesday night, 7 p.m. nationally televised on TNT between the Celtics and the Cavs. And the number one thing out of the gate here, Suichi, I think is the Celtics defense,
Hmm.
particularly in the paint. They were lit up in multiple games last week against the juggernauts like the Hawks and the Raptors. And now you're coming up against Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, and a bunch of
Hmm.
bigs that can finish well at the rim in this game. And Joe Mazzulla talked Monday practice about, hey, we just got like better individual defense and rebounding. I think he's right, but it's also a matter of like, is that simply like, oh yeah, just try harder on defense, or is this like, are just it's harder to guard good guys, and the Celtics are just showing some natural slippage. Like I think this game could potentially give us a more definitive answer on both of those fronts.
Yeah, and points in the paint, obviously that's kind of a big thing. The Cavs are fourth right now in points in the paint in terms of just like the pure scoring numbers and everything. So like that's something to keep in mind. And like obviously people are going to talk about this a little bit more about like the big man situation up front and everything. It's just yeah, like I'm curious to see how they kind of if that is like something that they're going to like take a little bit more pride in, I guess, like especially like points in the paint, I feel like when it's asked among the Celtics, they're like, yeah, it's also a team wide thing, right? Like it's not just, hey, a one-on-one thing, or it's like it's also like, Payne Pritchard kind of mentioned, but like point of attack is like a big part of like limiting it. It's like a team wide kind of a thing. So I'm curious to see if it's like a personal pride thing. Like I don't know. Like that seems kind of like basic, I guess, but like it does seem like when, against the Hawks and Raptors, like there were a few times where we're just like, really? That's kind of the shot that you're gonna give up. Like I get it's mid-November and everything in the defending chance, but like there have been a few uncharacteristic games for the Celtics. So it's like, what do they look at in a matchup where they can get up against the Cavs, a team that, is going to kind of bring it to you every single possession Tuesday night.
Right. Like how sharp is that focus? How much did
Hmm.
that effort change? And this is a team that can beat you from inside and out, from a shooting standpoint. So there's really not a lot that they can't, you know, pile up, pack the paint or go out to the perimeter. Like they're gonna have to do both. They're gonna have to do everything in this game to be able to beat this Cavs team the way they're starting. And so that's gonna be something to watch here. So what you got for number two?
Yeah, the thing that strikes me with the Cavs, and like there are teams that get lucky and everything, but like the Cavs are obviously legit at 15-0, but the past couple seasons when the Celtics have been a juggernaut coming off essentially like the second half of the 2022 finals run, the Celtics are like net rating darlings, right? They're probably like they've been like top five in that rating. Like oftentimes when you're going up against another talented team like the Timberwolves, they'll have like a they'll have a great defense, but their offense is kind of lacking. Whereas like the Cavs are legit, folks. Like the Cavs are currently above the Celtics in not only offensive rating and defensive rating, which I feel like is a very rare thing. Like the Cavs are second in that rating overall, right behind the Thunder, whereas like the Celtics have kind of like, and I say like the Celtics have slipped, but like let's be clear here, they are still one of the best teams in the league. It's more just like kind of to me, it's a little bit interesting that like the Celtics, these like kind of metric starlings for a good reason, right? Like are actually going up against another metric starling. Like the Celtics are fourth overall in that rating, Cavs are second. So it's like this is going to be a great game. Don't get me wrong. The Warriors being third in that rating is a little bit surprising when you look at that. Kind of a little side note, but like there's a good team, and I think that's going to be a great test. Like they have the number one offense thus far. And I don't think coming into the season, many people were necessarily expecting that. Like Kenny Atkinson has really, it's only 15 games, and I'm sure things will happen. But like I've been really impressed by this. But just by like the overall play by the Cavs so far, like they're a legit team, and I don't think many people were expecting like this much of a leap. Though, like we said, it's only 15 games into the season for them.
Yeah, it is. But I think Sean Graney pointed out the last three teams that started the year 15 and 0 went to the NBA Finals. So
Oh yeah,
that's
that's
a,
great.
I mean, that's something's got to give here or something. But no, it's
Mhm.
like you can only uh there's winning streaks, but there's winning streaks that like aren't being you can't really fake in terms of like what they mean in the big picture. Starting 15 and 0, I think is one where it's just like, okay, this is
Mhm.
you're legit. And to your point, like the balance they have on both sides of the floor right now is pretty daunting compared to what and is comparable to what the Celtics had uh, during points last year. So to
Mhm.
see how the Celtics match up against those at that point and how sustainable it is for the Cavs would be very interesting to see. And then the last thing I think is really important to look for, especially coming off last year's series, the Celtics did not see Jared out at all in that series as he
Mhm.
was out with a rib injury. And he's been back this year's season. He's been playing pretty. I mean, this is pretty classic Jared Allen. He's 14 11 per night, shooting 66% from the field. We
Mhm.
saw what the likes of Pirtle did to the Celtics down low there with like in the paint with just easy handoffs and push shots. Allen is not that level, but
Yeah.
the size, the rebounding alongside Evan Mobley, I think is a really intriguing test to see how they handle that. Obviously, without
Mhm.
Porzingis in the matchup here, and with kind of a rotation of bigs right now that have kind of shown some leaks around the rim for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And just to kind of go off of it, I guess it's a different point, but in talking to a few folks about the Cavs, I think I made this point a couple nights ago, but like they kind of remind me a little bit of the Celtics in terms of the 3-point numbers, like in terms of the 3-point shooting, not the raw numbers, but like the percentages. The Cavs are hitting 42.1% of their threes so far, or 41.9, sorry, of their threes so far, but like they're getting like their best shooters are shooting way above their norms. It kind of reminds me of the Celtics at the start of the 22-23 season when like Malcolm Brogdon was hitting like 50% from three, Derek White was hitting like 52% and stuff like that. Like I'm a little I'm a little curious to see if this is sustainable because I don't necessarily think it is. Like Darius Garland is hitting 45% of his threes on 7 attempts. Donovan Mitchell is hitting 42% and 9 attempts. Like those are a little bit above their career numbers and everything. So like I am wondering what that would look like if the Cavs are suddenly hitting, 38% of their threes instead of 42% of their threes. So coupled with your point, B-Rob, I think obviously right, like when you're hitting threes, it's not like they're shooting a lot of them, right? Like the Celtics stylistically are going to just right are going to shoot and make a bunch of threes, but the Cavs are more middle of the pack in that regard. So it's, those margins on the efficiency are very curious to me for me at least.
Yeah, it is absolutely wild that they have nine rotation players shooting above 35% from three. So like
Yeah,
no
and
one, no
like
one is shooting player, and then with the likes of Isaac Okoro shooting 44%
mhm.
from three. That's a guy that teams just weren't even guarding last year.
Exactly.
That does lead to your point of being like, how sustainable is this for them? But at the same time, like they
It's
were really,
working.
really good last year when they were together, and like Garland broke
Hmm.
his jaw, and then obviously they had under injuries in the playoffs. So
Yeah.
it seems like they're far have come a long way from petering out in the first round against the Knicks a couple years ago. But it's gonna be a fun one. Tuesday night, TD Garden, Souichi and I will be all over it for Mass Live. So stay tuned for that. But it should be a fun potential playoff preview between these two teams heading into Tuesday night.